So today we are answering one of the most common questions we get. What do we do and how do we make money from it?
We answered this question back when we first started YouTube almost 2 years ago, and I think the answer is similar. We've learned a lot along the way, so we're just gonna re-answer this question for y'all, give you a more updated response, and give you some more resources that we didn't even know about back then. If you have any questions that we don't answer during this video, please drop it in the comments below. We would love to hear your questions, but maybe stay till the end. We may answer the question that you have. Today, we're gonna start out by telling you what our jobs are, how we got into our jobs, what our work experience, education background, all that looks like. We're gonna talk about the different types of remote jobs, but then we're gonna move on to skills, which directly applies to any type of job that you may wanna work on the road, whether it be seasonal or self-employed or whatever. And then how to find remote jobs. And then we'll leave you guys with a few takeaways.
So we're ready to jump in. Let's go.
All right, so Chris, do you want to tell the people what you do first?
Okay. I struggle every time when people ask me what I do because a lot of times I don't even know what I do. I like to call myself a digital handyman, and what I mean by that is I have a lot of different skill sets.
Girls only want boyfriends who have great skills.
Mostly marketing and branding services. So sometimes I'll create book covers, sometimes I'll make movies or like e-courses, sometimes I do marketing strategies. It just depends on whatever the client needs, and I typically know a little bit about it and go from there.
I am 100% in on Let's Be Us right now. Doesn't necessarily mean it's generating a full income. We're making a very small income where we can justify me doing this. Chris's income is still 90% of our annual income, but this is my full-time gig. So besides even some of the video editing I help with, but pretty much everything else is me. I mean, we're definitely a teamwork, and when Chris has extra time in his days, he helps me out by helping write, proposals or answering comments or whatever that looks like. But for me, I'm doing Let's Be Us. I'm storylining, I'm editing, or it's a team effort. And I don't want to take all the credit by any means, because the video genius, that's him. We both storyboard it, we both write the stories and all this kind of thing. And then I color and help pick music, and then he pretty much does all the keystrokes and does everything. I don't know how to do that yet.
It's literally grunt work. That's all it is.
It's a teamwork effort because we're both creative people. So I don't want either one of us to take all that credit, because I think it's what makes it special is that it's both of us. So Let's Be Us, I'm all in on this right now.
So we're counting on you.
Be sure to give a thumbs up.
I've been going at this for the better part of 13 years now. I started when I was in college. My degree was in leadership, whatever that means. I decided that I needed to make some extra cash, and so somebody needed a business card designed, and I said, I know how to design a business card, and I didn't. So I went to YouTube and I learned how to design a business card, and that person paid me, and then since then, I started charging for different services.
Yeah, and it's been a snowball effect, sort of.
Yeah.
And it kind of comes back to that whole skill set thing, which we're going to talk more about how it's a combination of skills. But it's been a lot of hard work and hustle to get to this point. I wanted to
It has. I mean, it's been 13 years, and a lot of times it was charging less than what I should be charging. I should have been charging more money, and then sometimes clients weren't paying, and then sometimes there were no clients at all, and there was a lot. 13 years is a long time to hone a craft, but
we'll get to the self-employed struggles in a minute.
Okay.
For me, I majored in communications in college, specifically more speech communication, which I know sounds like, why would you ever do that? That's really more my background. I worked in nonprofits as soon as I got out of college. I had an in-office job for a year. And then we moved across the country to Seattle and got married. And a week before we got married, I actually landed my first fully remote job. So since the beginning of our marriage, we've been fortunate enough to both be remote, which is incredible. We realize that's a huge blessing. We love being remote, but that job working remotely for someone else, my boss was in Florida, I was in Seattle, and it gave us a taste of traveling while living far away from our employers. He was self-employed, I worked for somebody else, but we went to Asia for a couple months. We traveled whenever we wanted to across Washington. We just took our jobs with us, and that was an incredible experience. So we loved that freedom, and we knew that we didn't want to lose that. And now here we are with Let's Be Us, and that's sort of what all of my experiences have morphed to. That is the most streamlined way I could say that.
That is probably the most streamlined way, and if you need to go back and replay this section at half the speed,
I thought I was talking slow.
You did talk slow.
Did I?
Yeah, you did good. Let's get into the different types of remote jobs, because the reason that you're watching this video is not really to know a history about us, but it's really how you can implement these different jobs or different skill sets so you could have the same lifestyle as potentially us. Because again, I think
if you want to.
If you want to. Because I think...
Because we're so cool.
Because at the end of the day, I think people are just enamored with that idea, and Instagram doesn't help. But you see people posting all the time, they're on the beach, and they're like, I'm so thankful I have this amazing job that,
Best Monday ever.
I'm a content creator. Let's just get this out of the way. Everybody is a content creator.
If you've written a grocery list, you're a content creator.
Yes.
So can we debunk that one right there?
Sounds like a get-rich-quick scheme. Yes, thank you. You will get rich quick. We all will.
We're going to lay out the different types of remote jobs and maybe what may be the best fit for you.
So there's 3 categories that we sort of broke remote jobs up into. There is self-employed, employed by someone else, and there is seasonal jobs. So we're gonna run through the pros and cons of each of those. Number 1, self-employed, which is probably what comes to mind when you think of working as a digital nomad or traveling full-time, that kind of thing. But that is definitely not the only option. It is what we do, but it's not what we've always done.
No. And if you're looking at other influencers, typically they're self-employed as well. Like you're creating your own business to work for yourself. But there are some myths that come along with the whole self-employment thing, and that's what we want to address right here.
The self-employed route is, in our opinion, probably the hardest route. You don't just go through the application process of being hired on somewhere. You have to really hustle and constantly be finding new clients. Most of it's word of mouth for us, but it takes a long time to build a business that's sustainable, that's reliable. I mean, even 13 years in, there's still those months, especially 2020. Can we talk about 2020? But there are those months where you think, oh, what's my job gonna do? Because, we work on retainer clients, we work on, project by project clients, and it always is shifting and fluctuating and all this kind of thing. So it takes a little bit more stress to be able to go that self-employed route, depending on what line of self-employed you're in.
Well, and people have this misconception that you're gonna have more time if you're self-employed, and that is not the case at all. In fact, you will probably be working more than you would be a 9-to-5 job because it's your baby, it's your creation, you want it to succeed, and so you're gonna work for it.
I'd say we regularly work 60 to 70 hour work weeks, which we realize is very unhealthy. We do that, and then we have the flexibility to go travel for a while, usually. I mean, this year's been the exception, but in an ideal world, or what we used to do is we work for days straight, and we'd work really long days, and then we would take 4 days off if we wanted to go to a national park or something, and that was just our vacation. We got all of our work done, and then we went out. That's the joy of being self-employed. But it comes with its downfalls. You do work a lot. You have to find your own clients.
So it's a lot of networking. If you're not really a people person or you don't like to sell yourself or what you do,
that's my point in here. I got this.
It may not be the best fit for you.
It's that I put the constant hustle of networking and being the face of a business can be exhausting, especially for introverts, which is me. He's a really good networker. I love talking with people, but I'm not as good as Chris is.
I love talking about myself.
No, don't say that. On the other hand, you don't answer to anyone but yourself and then your clients if they're waiting on a project. Once they hand over money, you do have to answer to them.
The other downfall is that you don't typically have good health care, or you're paying for your own health care.
Yeah, you don't get benefits like a 401k, you don't get health insurance, all that kind of stuff. Travel perks, some jobs require travel. We don't get that, I mean, we pay insurance out of our pocket and our investments are separate. Number 2, employed by someone else. And this is what my second job out of college was, working for someone else. And there's definitely some perks in it. You have reliable income, reliable hours, some benefits.
Especially with 2020 now, a lot of jobs have been going digital. People are realizing they don't need a meeting space, they don't need to have their own building, so you're able to work from home.
Yeah, people ask us, how do I get a remote job? I can't imagine how many more jobs are out there. I know that everybody's looking for a job right now, but there are a lot of opportunities and a lot more than what there were when I got mine. And I did get mine word of mouth. I have to say that word of mouth networking thing really does pay off. If you're employed by someone else, there are some downsides as far as possibly communicating. There's one thing working remote and there's another thing working remote and traveling at the same time. I don't think all employers are as cool with you working and traveling. I was thankful that I had a boss that did allow me to travel, but you do want to be aware of the lifestyle you're exhibiting online, as far as you don't want to be posting pictures of the beach at 10 a.m. on a Monday morning. Even if it's a latergram, you want to be aware of your boss may not be thrilled of seeing that, or that's out there on the web for anybody to see and find. So you need to be aware about your professional appearance online when considering your employer too. You want to make sure that you're building trust with them. And if they know you really well and you've worked with them for 20 years and they're like, oh, so-and-so, yeah, they're great. I know that they're doing their work and proving themselves over and over, you know. So just be aware of that. Number 3.
Seasonal jobs.
Besides working summer jobs in college, lifeguarding and that kind of thing, we haven't really done seasonal jobs. So we're not professionals on speaking on this, but we do know from talking with friends that it can be a great opportunity to try really cool things, to go to cool places.
We do know full-time van lifers, RVers, whoever, who do seasonal jobs. They're kind of like snowbirds. They go to the hot weather climates and they'll get like a beach job or, you know,
or ski resorts. That's
ski resorts, yeah. And so there are plenty of seasonal jobs out there. We just don't have a lot to speak to. Obviously, there's pros and cons. Pros, you have a
semi-stable income, but it's short term. It's essentially short-term employment. You're going to be working there for, say, you're leading rafting tours in Alaska this summer.
My kayak's sinking.
You'll probably work 4 months this year, and then you'll go on to the next job. And seasonal jobs really do vary. We do know people who work in major national parks like Yosemite or Yellowstone in the summer, and then in the winter they head to Colorado and work in one of the ski resort towns or something.
And you're still trading your hours for your money, right? Mm-hmm. You may be working in a really cool location, but you may not be able to enjoy that location as much because you're still having to work that normal job.
Or on the flip side of that, you may be getting benefits like you get into the national parks and you get access to these things at a lower cost or for free. Maybe you get to go ski for free. I don't know. But that's something that may be of value. I would say seasonal jobs are probably best for those who are looking at traveling for a limited amount of time, maybe not indefinitely. For us, seasonal jobs wouldn't work because we want to travel indefinitely, which is why having a regular, consistent job is important to us. But if you're looking to just say, I want to take a gap year, or I want to travel for 2 or 3 years and we want to do all national parks, then seasonal jobs could be the best way for you to see and try new things. I wanted to talk about this one because I think this is just like, I don't hear people talking about developing skills as being an essential part of working remotely, but we think it is.
We do, because a lot of times on the internet, you'll see people and they're like, you have to make your own brand and your own products and you have to sell this.
Time is money, money is power, power is pizza, pizza is knowledge.
You don't want to be selling your time for money, and I understand that sentiment. But with that, you have to have a skill set in order to create something that's meaningful to your audience or to future clients.
So skills are essential no matter what kind of work you want to go into. If you want to be self-employed or a seasonal worker, you need to have skills. So Chris's skill set, he's already kind of talked about them briefly. Just go ahead and run through some of yours.
So a lot of my skill sets are digital, computer-based. So it's video editing, motion graphics, it's graphic design, it's marketing and strategizing and implementing those marketing strategies. It's some web design. I'm really well versed in a lot of the Adobe Creative Cloud apps, which if you're getting into that whole market, I suggest that you would get familiar with a lot of Adobe apps.
For me, mine look a little bit similar, a little different. I'd say mine are photography, writing, speech communication, a little bit of web design, enough to make me dangerous. I touch a computer and then instantly Chris knows something's wrong with the website because I'll start getting in there and working. I cause more problems than I help. I don't know why I put that on a skill section.
She's for hire right now. So if you need a new website, reach out to Sarah.
No, but in all seriousness, I know enough to get around and, Chris put together most of our website and then I go in there and do the maintenance on it. Don't go to our website right now. It looks really bad because we've got to redo it again. Also, I have a basic knowledge of Adobe apps like Illustrator, Photoshop, Lightroom, that kind of stuff. And then project management was one of my past skills. So for me, those are the skills I worked on a lot with my past nonprofit jobs and with Let's Be Us. Chris and I, a lot of our skill sets, if you notice, the skills we're listing off, they all work really well and they combine really well together, which is really nice when you're going out and searching for clients. Or when you're looking for a job to hire on your resume, you can list off all these skills because chances are if somebody's hiring a graphic designer or if somebody wants Chris to do graphic design for a book cover, well, they may want, marketing to go with that book cover, or they want the social media images, or they want, a video to go with it to promote the video. So having multiple skill sets really does sort of pay off. It never hurts to develop once, but make sure you figure out what you're good at.
There is a quote that I really like. It's a famous quote, but a lot of times people don't focus on the last end of the quote. They only focus on the first part, and it's this: a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes it's better than a master of one. And I feel like that's what we are. We are a jack of all trades, but we're not really amazing at one specific thing, but we're good at a lot of things, which makes it valuable.
We're pretty good at a lot of things. I think that that's really been our saving grace in 2022 is that we try to be flexible. It can be tiring at times, and I feel like we've in the last years gotten our footing of really knowing what we're after as far as jobs. Like Chris has really developed a strong network, and I mean there's still the hustle of trying to find new clients regularly. I mean even in the last month we've been bringing new clients in and that kind of thing, but having a wide variety of skill sets to offer and also saying, well, if you need this, I can do this, I'm knowledgeable in this, it really does pay off no matter what work. Whether you're going to look for an employer who can trust you working fully remote, you could say I'm really good at written communication and I'm really good at project management. Well, that's going to probably speak volumes if you're wanting to work remotely because they think, oh, this person's organized and they can communicate. Well, that's going to be a great asset if they want to work remotely. So the biggest piece of advice we can give you guys though is find what you're good at. And you may already have experience. You may have a college degree in biology. Maybe you're a nurse or a doctor. Those jobs can be carried on the road. Even engineering. We've seen engineers working on the road. We've seen accountants. We've seen all kinds of things.
Lawyers. Even if you didn't go to college, there are still plenty of options out there to like hone your skills. Like I said before, I taught myself graphic design from YouTube, but there are so many better platforms than just YouTube out there now. There's a lot of good content on Teachable or Skillshare or whatever. Like there's there's Linda. Yeah, you're right. Like there's so many websites to where you could pay a little bit of money and become a pro pretty quickly.
Or even free. I mean, YouTube is amazing for learning stuff. Which I think is one reason why we enjoy YouTube, because a lot of what we've learned is through YouTube. I mean, building our van and developing graphic design skills.
Yeah, I literally owe my job to YouTube.
It's true. If you're really good at visuals, maybe the graphic design or the video editing side is really good. If you don't really have an eye for things like that, maybe stick to doing something like, I don't know, software development, or maybe you should do being a traveling nurse or something like that, or accounting if you're really good with numbers. I mean, all those, every job can pretty much be brought on the road now.
Or maybe you're really organized and you know how to be organized.
Project management is a great, I mean, admin, there's all sorts of jobs from entry level all the way up to being doctors on the road. I mean, you could do anything, for real. We're not just saying that, we've seen it.
So we've determined that you can do anything from the road, pretty much anything. But how do you find those jobs?
Like we said before, most of our jobs have been found by word of mouth. We do think that's important, but if you know nobody who's hiring or you don't know anybody, social media. Chris has gotten plenty of jobs off of Twitter and Instagram.
What are you doing?
Just bouncing some business ideas off Russell Simmons on Twitter.
People say, hey, I'm looking for a graphic designer, and Chris will go, me?
That's literally one of my biggest jobs ever. I tweeted to them, and I'm like, I know how, and they, for some reason, chose me, and yeah.
Granted, that's not a reliable way to find income, but every now and then, crazy things can happen and it can work out.
Well, and I think the biggest mistake people make is that they think that they're going to be denied or be told no, which in most cases you probably will be.
Be okay being told no.
Yeah, but be okay reaching out. Like, don't go ahead and shut yourself down, because when you do that, you don't, I mean, Michael Scott quoted Wayne Gretzky as saying, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Michael Scott.
It doesn't hurt to reach out and ask. And if they don't answer, it's okay. Move on to the next person.
If you're looking for a job or you want to start maybe looking into it a little bit, we'll link all those links of the resources that we're aware of in the description down below. Instead of us sitting here just telling you guys random URLs, go check those out just to get your feet wet and start exploring options. We're done talking almost. We do want to leave you guys with 3 takeaways. Some of this we've already talked about already, but we think we want to finish by landing on these 3 points. Why do I feel like I'm leading a seminar right now? 1, it's all about your skill set. Everything that generates income for us requires a skill.
Yes, people aren't going to pay you to just be you. Like, you need to provide something.
We see those people online, and it does happen every now and then, but usually there's a skill involved, whether it's editing the photo of the product you're promoting or...
Yeah, well, and if people have a really big audience, sometimes you're paying for that person's audience. Like, you're paying for them to be them, right? Like, if they're gonna spend money, they want something out of it. Like, people aren't just going to give you free money because they like you. And I think the biggest piece of advice that we could give for that is that the more skills that you have and the more irons that you have in the fire, the less likely, especially as a freelancer or self-employed person, the less likely that you're going to be in a really tight position, because if you have something going on here and you're making money from this one particular product or service, but this one over here is not making money, that's okay. You have different buckets that you can fill. Like, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
So the downfall to that is that it can be easy to lose focusing on too many things. That's the other saying, that you chase 2 rabbits, we won't catch one. I mean, that's true. Like, we're guilty of that too, of trying to do so much. We have to hone in and say, oh no, we can't do everything. Like, we've got to focus on YouTube this month, or we've got to focus on, our van stuff in this season or something. It's really easy to try to go after everything, especially when everything's growing a little bit. So really try to master a lot of skills, but know ultimately what you're after. Otherwise, you will drown. And we've caught ourselves drowning at times because we're trying to do everything.
That's true.
2, some live to work and others work to live. We love our work, but we would definitely say that we are those people who work to live. It's more important for us to have a healthy lifestyle and to experience as much as possible and to live meaningful lives rather than to work all the time. We don't want to work all the time.
Yes, and I agree with you on that, but Sarah is very much like that. Where I, on the other hand, I could work 24/7 and I just get energized by it. I think it's fun and it's fascinating and talking.
True.
But
I'm sorry I spoke for you. That is true, actually.
No, but you do speak for me, because I don't want to be sitting my entire life in front of a computer not experiencing what life has.
Yeah, but if we followed my wants, then his business wouldn't be thriving the way it is right now. If you want to work to live, then, make sure you budget and figure out how much you need to invest and to live currently, and then go from there. You don't have to constantly be trying to make a larger income and climbing the corporate ladder. I mean, that's not really what we're after. We love what we do, and it's allowing us to do some really cool things and experience a lot of really cool places and meet cool people. And we're happiest. That's the happy medium for us. But find out what that is for you and then go after it.
The next takeaway is build relationships.
And this is sort of divided up into 2 sections. They're sort of different, but come back to the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, building relationships, it's the hardest thing that you can do, but it's the thing that's going to pay off the most, and it's the thing that's most valuable to your business or what you want.
Or your personal life.
Yeah, in your personal life. I mean, speaking strictly on a business standpoint, personally for my business, I've never taken any money out for ads. I've never pushed myself out there on any other platform. It's all been referred. It's all been by other people.
I was wondering how you're going to circle it back, because it sounded like a humble brag.
Yeah, I mean, it is sort of a humble brag.
Rein it in. Honestly, it's invaluable, and sometimes it could be good connections, and sometimes it could be really not great connections. Like, we've gotten some bad jobs by word of mouth from people who are better friends than they are clients. So you got to be careful, but it's a great way to bring on businesses or find a job. On the other side of relationships, if you're planning on going the digital nomad route, definitely find people who are in that same realm of work too, who understand what it's like to travel and work. And I know it sounds super, super ridiculous to be like, nobody understands what it's like to be able to travel full time. But it really is a hard thing to try to communicate to people. Maybe it's a little different in 2020 now, but it's really hard for us to communicate to our families that we're not all the time just out there having fun. It may look like we're all the time out there having fun, but we're not. And that can be a point of tension between friends and family sometimes, who have undertones of, they just don't fully understand it. And so it kind of comes off as jealousy, where they're like, oh, it must be nice to never have to work. Like, if we get that comment again, I may lose it, because it's sort of passive aggressive in the sense that, like, oh, it looks nice, but it's not real. So finding people who you can connect with, who kind of understand and can sympathize with those struggles, and you guys can be really cool. Maybe meet up on the road someday. Stranger danger, be careful. There's some perks to having friends who understand where you're at.
And I think we are probably the most introverted extroverts that you would probably meet, right? Would you say that?
We're pretty introverted, but at the same time, we love meeting people. That's like one of our favorite things about traveling, is just getting to build community with people we may never have met. Like that. I mean, we like talking with you guys.
Yeah. So that's it. That's how we make money from the road. Those are a couple of different options on how you can make money from the road. But we would love to hear from you. Maybe we missed something. What is something that you do, or like what has worked for you in the past on how do you make money from the road?
And if you still have a question that we still didn't answer in this video, please drop it in the comments below. We will do our absolute best to answer those questions the best that we can, or point you in the direction of something that may be useful. We don't have all the answers, but we've learned a little bit in our years doing this. All right, thanks for sitting through our TED Talk on being a digital nomad.
And if you like these videos, because we're thinking about revving the whole FAQ video back up, let us know, and let us know what topics you'd like us to talk about.
We try to answer the most consistently asked questions, like what we do for work or being a digital nomad. This is a pretty in-depth question, and we answered a lot of y'all's questions from different angles in this one video. But if you have a topic of something you want to hear us talk about, learn about.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.
For more adventures on the road and in our new home, be sure to follow along on Instagram and like and subscribe here. It really helps creators like us.